is Sama, Sisters Against Mental Abuse. This is our first episode, so thank you for being here. Also, Happy New Year. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Misty, and today I realized how important the Netflix show Maid was, and I want to discuss some of the main takeaways that I feel that Black women could learn from. If you haven't seen this show, there will be spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, I would click off now. The show is very deep. It is on the surface. It's a show about a mother who wants to leave her drunk baby daddy and how her financial situation and a few different barriers kind of slow it down. I really feel like a lot of the critics miss the mark. A lot of them talk about it as gendered poverty and how, just it's more than money. It's more than money, especially I think Black women could learn from this. It's a story of financial abuse, mental abuse, trauma bonds, generational curses, and a little bit of physical abuse on top of it. So the first thing that I think that we could take away from it is that the environment that you were raised in and your parents have a huge effect on your adult relationships. We see how irresponsible and unreliable Alex's mother is when she decides to leave Sean. She goes to find work as a maid, and she needs someone to watch her daughter Maddie. Maddie's 2 or something like that. She's a very small child. So Alex leaves Maddie with her mother. And when she gets back from work, Alex finds out that her mother gave Maddie back to the father, Sean, who Alex is trying to leave. So that was very irresponsible. We see Alex's mother jump from relationship to relationship. She gives these men her money. Just very childlike for her grown age. We also see her valuing these men way too much. She accuses Alex of wanting her boyfriend at some point. So really, it's just a hot mess. Later on, we find out that Alex's mother was abused by Alex's father, and he was apparently physically abusive. Alex blocked that out. But I say all this to say, if you were in an environment that was toxic or something negative to that extent, you may be desensitized to abusive behavior. So maybe seeing the red flags for you may not be as easy, or you're just used to being very independent, or if you're used to people that are not respectful of boundaries, you're used to it. You become desensitized to it. So that's something that's really important to look at, is how we were raised. The second one is abusers do not have limits. Things will always escalate. I think in the beginning, we didn't know why Alex was leaving, but it came out slowly. We saw his reaction was so much rage when he found out she was pregnant. We saw yelling and things like that, but we didn't see anything physical. We fast forward to see the reason that Alex decided to leave. One of the big reasons is that he threw a glass bowl and the glass got into Maddie's hair. So it will always escalate. He went from screaming and yelling to starting to be physically, having some physical intimidation there. So, he also punched a hole in the wall, and that's not okay. So on top of that, which is my next point, people outside of the relationship rarely understand. A lot of them won't take it seriously. People may downplay it. They may coerce you to stay. They may attack you for not staying. I had this situation happen to me when I decided to leave my mentally and sometimes physically abusive ex. I would express wanting to leave, and I had family members tell me, "Oh, well, why would you want to leave him? It doesn't seem smart. He pays the rent. He's making 6 figures. He drives that Benz. He takes you out." And it made me question myself. That's the biggest thing. So when these people from outside of the relationship are making you feel bad, they're making you feel crazy, a lot of times that will cause you to rethink and question yourself. So just expect that. We've seen how Sean's friends that Alex thought were her friends, they were not supportive of her leaving at all. They weren't helpful at all. I think Ethan was his name, one of Sean's friends, told Alex, "Oh, just shut up, go back and stop being such a B word." It no one took the time to listen to her. Obviously Alex's mother didn't take it seriously, and that's her mother. So when you're in these situations and you're trying to leave, just know there are people that will not believe you. There are people that will not take it seriously. Don't let that bother you. Listen to yourself. In that same vein, with little support from family or friends, if you don't have the support you need, leaving is never easy. So be prepared. I know in the show, she's doing this all quick. Like, she decided in the moment to go. She's kind of playing it by ear, and it is so difficult. There is a complexity that is there, and especially for Black women, because of that support. Because mental abuse is not taken seriously, there's another layer of, we don't believe you, just go back. I feel like with not all, but with a lot of Black families or Black communities, they'll push you back into whatever relationship or friendship with that is toxic. I mean, with my own grandmother, I had a very complicated relationship with her, but she's done some things that were not okay, and I had family members telling me, "Oh, why don't you talk to her again," pushing me to pursue this relationship just because it's my grandmother. No, ma'am, no. So there's a world that she doesn't understand. Alex is overwhelmed. They do a really good job of illustrating how overwhelmed she is. I mean, trying to understand, it's like a foreign language to her. And it's also very frustrating because the people working in these places where she's supposed to get support aren't always friendly. So leaving is never easy, and then that is also demonstrated through Danielle. Danielle became my favorite when she met Alex in the shelter. Danielle was spunky, she was funny, she had some attitude, and she seemed strong, but then she disappeared, and when Alex saw her again, Danielle was with her abuser. And it must have been so bad because she couldn't even acknowledge Alex or, let on that she knew who she was. She had to pretend like she didn't know who she was. So leaving is never easy, but you can be prepared. You can do things to be prepared. And then the biggest takeaway is that there are multiple types of abuse. Physical abuse is not the only abuse that there is. There are a number of things. So, financial abuse right here. Sean returning her car so that she can't go anywhere without his approval. Now, how many times have you heard a Black woman talk about how her man took her car? No, unless it's in your name and you're taking it, that's stealing. You are messing with somebody's access to their own property. That's not okay. But then, even more financially abusive was Sean telling her that he doesn't want her to have a job. And what that does is force her dependence on him. So she doesn't have a car. She doesn't have her own money. So she has to depend on him. He makes the rules. And this is not okay. This is financial abuse. Anytime a man or anyone is stopping you from having access to money, they're taking your paychecks, they're telling you what to do with your money or anything of the sort, that's financial abuse. It's not okay. I did go over physical intimidation with Sean throwing the glass bowl at the wall, punching the hole in the wall. Physical intimidation is scary. It's a non-verbal threat, really, because you're always wondering, hey, so next time, am I going to be the target? Is he going to hit me? Is he going to punch me? And that's not okay. That's still mental abuse. My last point here. If we look at everything together, we see Sean talking about how he's going to get sober, he's going to the meetings, and then when she comes back, he starts drinking again. when she comes back. He starts cheating again. So there's those two factors. And then at some point he tells her, "Hey, I pay all the bills. I let you hang out with my friends." He ties her identity to him. So in these 3 points, she comes back and it's like he's destroying her all over again. Because obviously cheating is destroying her self-worth. He's tied her identity to him. He's pretty much telling her, "You're nothing without me." He's forcing her in a corner where she can't go anywhere. And I think that there is a very excellent scene that shows Alex, and I think that she's in some sort of hole, and the hole is getting smaller and smaller, and that's exactly what it feels like. Because you step back and you see that this person has control over everything, and even when you want to leave, you can't. You can't. There are other things too. A lot of these people will say one thing and then do another. We see where Sean guilt trips Alex about leaving Maddie with her mom, but meanwhile he's fighting for custody of Maddie, and he leaves Maddie with his mom. He's not even trying to take care of her. Alex found him in a bar and he's drinking, and she's like, "Where's Maddie?" So things like that. Power. Think power. So all of these different types of abuse, they're not things that you can see. And that's what's so tricky about it. So again, I just wanted to run through these main takeaways. 1, the environment you were raised in and your parents have a huge effect on your adult relationships. 2, abusers do not have limits. 3, people outside of the relationship rarely understand, so be prepared. 4 is leaving is never easy, so be prepared. 5, there are multiple types of abuse and they are not always physical. I want to thank you all for listening. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much. I am looking for psychologists and other Black women that want to share their stories. If you've been in a mentally abusive situation and you want to share your story, you can find me on Facebook at Sisters Against Mental Abuse. You can find me on Instagram at SamaTogetherNow, and Gmail, samatogethernow@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, mental abuse is abuse. Thanks.